Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time is invitation for a citizen or citizens to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Is anybody here that's interested in being put on the agenda? Okay. Approval of the agenda. I have one notation that be it noted after Carrie Bretsch's presentation for the bid advertising be removed. Anything else concerning the agenda? They have the objection to the agenda as changed. Hearing none, without objection, we will accept the agenda. The consent agenda. Anything on the consent agenda you wish to have pulled out or discussed? Okay, without objection, we will accept the consent agenda. We'll move to routine business, approval of claims. Is there a motion to approve? Krogman Miller. Discussion or question concerning the claims?
I did send out on your desk this morning, there was a claim submitted for the catastrophic poor payment to SDACC. It came in late, but Jen was able to get it in. So that is what is reflected on the papers that were in front, or the packet that was in front of you this morning.
Okay, thank you. Stacy? Any other questions concerning claims? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Department head reports. We'll start with county development.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
On the county development side of the house, we had management 312, which was an emergency management thing. And thanks to Commissioner Weisef, all the commissioners that couldn't make the training got handouts that was put into your box downstairs.
Bob had them set out anyway.
And otherwise, everything's written down, I'm not going to repeat, but severe weather preparedness week is this week. And on Wednesday, we are going to have they call them a mock tornado watch, and then a mock tornado warning, and then a statement will be issued that the test is over. That starts at 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning. The tornado watch will be issued, and then it looks like the weather's going to be good for it. So sometimes when we have these, we got severe weather and we don't have them. It looks like this week will be all right, and we'll have it at 10:15. The sirens will go off in all the communities in South Dakota, and then at 10:30, the sirens just go off at one time. We're not going to hopefully keep them sounding 15 minutes straight. Somebody go deaf. And then at 10:30, that test will be over. There is severe weather training this year, April 22nd, down in Flandreau. I'll probably run down and attend that. Richard typically attends it since he's from that area. And April 24th, this Friday, we've got a comp plan meeting, starts at noon. Everyone's welcome to attend that. And if you've been noticing the news, the avian flu is starting to affect South Dakota quite heavily. So far, Brookings County has dodged it, but Iowa just got notified that one of their big egg-laying plants got nailed. So we have to keep that on the back of our mind. So far, there's no effects to humans on this particular strain of flu, but of course it is affecting the agriculture operations. Any questions?
Yes, Bob, I noticed your next train's August 13th, correct?
That would be a full-scale exercise, yes, sir.
Full scale, yeah. That happens to be the same day as the pandemic people, again. We missed the meeting last time.
No, that's actually intentional. That is, we've got our full-scale exercise going on over here, and then we're gonna pull in their tabletop into our exercise.
Oh, okay, so they'll be coming this to our,
No, they'll be participating with us.
participate, that's what I
We'll
meant,
have
yeah.
our
Okay.
full-scale, like typical, and then we got them, it's called collaboration between various agencies, and
Okay, very good, thanks.
you're welcome.
Hope there wasn't any other questions, sorry. I jumped ahead. I do want to note that phones, Leanne, do not transfer PDFs as, it's in here. Leanne has been, later in the liquor agreement, she's been working diligently, and I wasn't getting it because I wasn't using the right device. First quarter report, Department of Health.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jen Burns, again from the Department of Health, Community Health WIC office. We have lots of changes going on in our office, lots of new staff. Particularly just with WIC, we've hired a new dietitian, the state did, so she's in our office 1, sometimes 2 days a week. So that's been good. We also have hired a full-time nurse, Karen, who is supposed to be sitting next to me today, but she's at home sick with the flu bug, and her children also, so I said, you just please stay home. So she's full-time. Hopefully we'll get her done with orientation. We're looking at the end of May, so that'll be good. Right now we still have the 2 nurses from other counties coming to the office and helping us out. And Brenda Kahn, some of you maybe know her. She is our full-time clerical in the office, and she is retiring. She's put in her notice to have her last day of June 12th.
Okay.
So we'll be doing some changes. With that, Sally, the part-time clerical, would like to go into the full-time position. So then we would be needing to hire just a full-time or part-time person, just as we did a couple of years ago. So, and we're looking to that position for a start date of June 15th, is what we're hoping for that new clerical. So, are there any questions on that? No? Okay. Other than that, school services are just about done. We have a couple of growth and development screenings to do yet. And then my goal is to do those school screenings in September. And I've talked to the schools already when I just saw them in the last month or two and said, hey, let's put a date on the schedule for September. Let's not wait till August to try to do this. So I have dates penciled in. So that'll be nice to get those done in the fall and not the spring. So.
Any questions for Jen?
Questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Next is on the list is finance officer, but before we get to Vicki, so she doesn't have to run back and forth, Sonia, we'll go with the other department heads, and we'll start with those 2 back there. They have the least comfortable chairs. The other ones are in very comfortable chairs. So,
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to stop up, make an appearance. This week I've been in contact with Stacy regarding the applications for promotion and expansion committee, of which there were none. So she and I are wondering what we should do next, how we should move forward. If you would like to have that re-advertised, if you want us to go about securing individuals and filling those positions differently, if you have thoughts.
I had sent out an email asking about the description for the requirements for the position. I got a couple of emails back from people that said that is what's required by something.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the federal law that sets that out. It didn't say that in there, and I would like us to take a look at how we're advertising what people have to have for credentials in order to apply for that position. I think it will make a difference.
I believe it comes, well, go ahead.
Who sets forth the criteria for the people that are, is that through extension or is that by law?
Well, the information has been passed on to us from SDSU Extension, which has
That's
come
right.
down from USDA.
That's what I thought.
See, I think what the requirement is for the extension board and not for this board that we're talking about.
And you're correct about that. However,
Mhm,
at the time of reorganization, and they went away from extension boards, they pulled that piece into the promotion and expansion committee makeup in order to be satisfying that
And-
statute.
And you might be right and I might be wrong. I just think we should look at it, make sure that we don't have our requirements too narrow for people to fill that position, and that might impact the applicants that we would get.
Well, and because Brookings County has an extension board, we're fulfilling that statute, you know, truly, as far as having that agriculture representative and such. So, I mean, I guess it can't hurt to
The
be
exten-
open-minded about
Go
it.
ahead, Ryan.
But wasn't that we had to have the promotion board because USDA required it for us to use the clover?
We need to maintain the promotion and expansion committee, and
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I'm just thinking that Leanne is referring to those two positions specifically identifying agriculture representatives.
But what-
Correct?
But what about the youth? Isn't there in the
The
promotion?
youth is, they don't need, those individuals don't need to apply. I mean,
Right.
but that comes from USDA.
But they have to be on, that promotion board, right?
There
We
needs
have
to
have-
be an equal makeup of adults and youth
Mhm.
that break down further into 4-H and non-4-H.
Right. And so those regulations are brought down from us from USDA that
Yes.
if we are going to use the clover, that we need to have a promotion and expansion board made up of these individuals,
Correct.
whether it's ag, non-ag, youth, that type of stuff, and then extension, but they don't handle the budget type of stuff because we were kind of saying it's probably not great for kids to put a budget together. They can handle the promotion and that kind of stuff, but extension handles the budgeting and the stuff like that. So that was always the stuff that we learned from the beginning here is let's put them both together, and we really can't. And so because there's a narrow type of person that needs to be on that board as per USDA, I thought.
I don't think so. And that's what I would like. I could be wrong.
Mhm.
I just would like us to look at that and make sure that we've got our ducks in a row on that. Because what we did and how we defined it, we eliminated people that have 4-H experience that aren't currently actively involved in agriculture. And I don't know that that's what we want to do.
Well, those people can certainly, hey, I learned that you have this committee, this promotion and expansion committee, and I'd be happy to serve on a part. I'd be willing to volunteer, but they wouldn't need to apply.
But it wouldn't, I mean, it doesn't hurt us to look at the requirements instead of saying, somebody told us this, let's see what they are and make sure we got our ducks in a row.
Well, in my research for peace and justice between the state law and what Extension is doing, I've got the documents in my file that says about the makeup, and comes from the something progress. And then
Stewards.
prior to that, there was
Progress.
and there was another one, and the problem being, in fact, they were the ones that were supposed to be working with the county commission, but they still left the state statute about extension handling money, and Dean Dunn did say that there are counties that have merged them to try to fancy up their name and meet state law and their law at the same time. My only suggestion would be instead of advertising, and when you say advertising, did you send it out to the members, like the volunteers or the parents of children, that direct mail?
I did not mail anything, no.
We advertised it.
I'd say, I was just thinking if you just reached
I
out.
shared it on Facebook.
Oh, well,
To,
you
on
wouldn't
my,
get me, but.
I shared it on Facebook to my on my Brookings 4-H page.
Yeah, okay, well, that's cheaper than mail's expensive, but.
Correct.
But, is that how you communicate with your?
No, I usually email.
Well, could we just email those?
Yeah, I sure can.
Yeah, and then also mention that we need some non-4-H people. So let's say they know somebody like Leanne's talking about that used to be involved but would be really an interested person. Just give that a whirl. In the meantime, we'll check Leanne's requirement and think how we're going to work through this on our end. And
I have a little information in my office, I just don't have it with me on that issue. So if you wanted to give me a call, I'll tell you what I think and what I looked at, and maybe you could take a look at it and see what you think. that's
Okay.
okay.
Coming up in 4-H this weekend is the large, big event in Fort Pierce, the state 4-H shooting sport state shoot. Brookings has, I'm guessing, close to 100 kids going out to shoot, some in one discipline, some in more. So busy 3 days. A majority of the state shoot is run by volunteers, and we have some of the finest in Brookings, not going to lie. So they're heading out, busy loading up and getting everything prepared. You know, as you probably are aware, most of the shooters in Brookings County utilize county club-owned equipment. So they make sure to transport that equipment out there for those youth. So when they show up, they just have to find kind of the Brookings County camp. Last year was the first time I was there, and it reminds me of a track meet where everybody kind of, you know, maps out their space, and this is our camp, and find your equipment, and it's a pretty big deal. So that will be happening this weekend. The Extension Board will be meeting next week to begin work on their budget. And we are very busy winding down after school and in school programming, and we'll begin with summer programming in June, looking to get some stuff, still don't have it solidified, but in the Boys and Girls Club and out-of-school programming at base in Volga. So working to get some things done within Achievement Days. The most recent information from the State 4-H office regarding this year's state fair, for your information. It is not necessary to receive a purple ribbon to move on to the state fair in any of the project areas. So that is a new change. You just need to participate at a qualifying county event. So as long as they're present at our county dog show, our county youth in action events such as special foods and public presentations, fashion review as well, except that does have an age limit on it at an age minimum at the state fair level. And as horse show achievement days, as long as they exhibit and are present, a purple ribbon is not necessary to move on to the state fair. This year, our 4-H families will be expected to have their state fair entries registered by August 1st. This is early, and this is also before our achievement days. So things might change. They do have an opportunity to change entries following their qualifying events, such as achievement days. However, it's going to be at a cost to the exhibitor because they will then be charging double entry fees after the 1st of August deadline.
What is the purpose of that? Is
I
it
don't
to,
know.
is 4-H shrinking at the state fair? Is that?
You know, I don't know a lot of information regarding the conversations that took place leading up to this decision. This information was just shared with us a week ago, and at that time it was really just shared as is. So, you know, they're not excluding the fact that you can go, that you still have to go through the county level. So at least they are participating at that county level and not just bypassing the county event altogether. From my understanding, they wish to place more emphasis on the project versus the exhibit, allowing the 4-H member to make changes or work on something to perfect their performance between the qualifying event and the state fair. In essence, making the best better.
I don't know if I like that.
Is the date of our achievement days, do other counties have their achievement days earlier in the season?
This year, there's probably some, but there's actually a lot of achievement days happening the first week of August. You know, and the state fair is a week later this year as compared to last year because of Labor Days like the 7th of September. So,
Wow.
When are our achievement days?
August 3rd through 6th. Make sure to get the 6th on your calendar so you can help with the barbecue.
Have you given us a calendar? I just didn't remember seeing it that has all those other events that you talked about through the summer.
Probably not. It's been in the newsletter, but
Okay.
we do have a summer calendar that we're working on perfecting that will be available here by the 11th of May, so I'll make sure to get you each one of those.
That would be great. Thank you.
Quick question for you, not to add to your workload,
Okay.
but would you do me a favor? Would you put together the list of all the clubs, all the organizations that you work with, Volga, Boys and Girls Club, the whole works, and location where everybody's meeting, that type of thing, just to get an idea of where everybody's at and that kind of stuff. Could you do that? Because we're going to be looking, obviously, we've been working on trying to get together a space and different stuff like that. And that would help, I guess, me at least understand where everybody's at and the need for space and what we're lacking and where we'd like to get people to. If there's people that are housing this that have been doing it for a lot of years and say there's just no other place to do it, that would help us make decisions on, with input from you of the type of facility we'd be looking for and needing to accommodate the most groups for 4-H.
Yes, I
Could,
can.
could you do that for me?
I
appreciate
can't
that.
have that done for you by this afternoon.
That's okay. Not looking for that.
I
No.
can do that.
We'll still be meeting this afternoon.
Yes, I intend to join you at 4 o'clock,
Okay,
so.
perfect. That would be great. Thank you.
Anything else? Anything I need to know?
Okay.
Okay.
Then thank you, Sonia.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mike?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'll probably jinx myself, but it's been fairly quiet down in our office lately, so I'm feeling pretty happy about that. Not been going through our budget quite as fast as I was fearing when the first part of the year rolled around and hearing what was happening with some of the other organizations and their funding being down. But with that, we did have 115 calls in the last 2 weeks. 147 out. It seems like I always call more out than people call in. But out of the welfare side, we had 27 people stopped in. And on the veteran side, it was only 15. So that number's down from what it has been in the past. Don't exactly know why, but it kind of ebbs and flows. One thing that we did get back from the VA yesterday, we got it in, was the expenditures for Brookings County, and this is just for the medical portion of it. And what they go by is the zip code, so anyone with a Brookings County zip code is included in as being a Brookings County resident. Last year, the VA spent $865,708 on care for Brookings County veterans. Of that, total, $374,391 were for in-hospital or nursing home care, and there was $491,317 for outpatient care, which I thought the outpatient might be a little bit higher than that, but that's what the VA had expended on that. As far as the welfare side, I did attend the Housing Board meeting on the 16th and found out some kind of interesting things, and there might be a way that we can use some of the housing monies towards rents for people in more like an assisted living areas. So that's something that I will be talking more with Arlo about.
Is that Brookings housing meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, Section 8 mostly?
The Section 8. And there's few changes that Arlo brought forward to us as far as with Section 8 that I was totally unaware of, so we'll have to look a little bit. It's not going to make a big difference. It probably may be one or two people, and it's only going to probably be a few $100s a month. So, but a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. It all helps. Any questions?
Well, there. Any other questions for Mike? Okay.
Thank you.
Mike. Who's got a 5-minute program? Joyce does.
Need about 30 seconds, probably. Just to update you, tomorrow At 11 o'clock, we will be holding the South Dakota Association of Assessing Officers District 5 meeting here in Brookings. We'll be meeting in the conference room next to our office. There's 7 counties that come and Department of Revenue staff that come to that. And we usually have lunch and continue on into the afternoon. So that's tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we will be having a department head meeting of Brookings County department heads. My appraisers are really busy reviewing Brookings City as we speak, and as soon as equalization boards are done, we will be starting to complete the abstract numbers that need to go into peer by the 3rd Monday in May. So, any questions?
No
Thank you.
questions? I guess we'll see you later.
We'll see you later.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm down to a 4-minute report. Okay?
Just a quick jail update. Got a few increased inmates, 35. We got 17 in work release, 6 females, and 24/7 we have 53 participants, 18 on PBTs, 24 on Scram, and we have 3 drug patches. So that's starting to increase a little bit too. We started out with 1, now we got 3. So that I think we're going to see more of that type, especially when there's a drug-related offense that they're going to order drug patches and so forth. You know, of the inmates that I have in jail, the majority of them are felons, charged with felonies with multiple charges, anywhere from assault on an officer to assault, aggravated assault on someone else with weapons charges, and so we're seeing a little more increase on felony arrests with drugs also. So the majority of the 35 are felony charges. Other than that, I just, with spring comes multiple complaints of traffic. I have complaints everywhere, from speeding to whatever, and we try to handle those the best we can. So, but we try to address those areas. The trouble is, you know, you have someone sit, and of course they see nothing, and then the minute you leave, you'll get complaints that they're speeding by and so forth. But Western Avenue down by Sheldon's Trailer Court, and a lot of it's county roads, county gravels. You know, a lot of people think that out in the county, stop signs and the speed limits are void out there, and but we're dealing with those is the best we can. I don't know if have you commissioners received any complaints on traffic? Okay, so good. At least they're coming to me before they come to you guys. So, okay. Other than that, I don't have anything unless you have some questions.
Yes, Leanne.
In the county development report, Mr. Hill gave us a diagram of the backup emergency operations center over in the basement at the detention center. And that day that I was over there and you gave me the tour down there, the air didn't seem quite right down there. And I was wondering if that's something that we need to be addressing, or are you comfortable with how air flows through that basement? Did that make sense what I'm asking?
You probably need something.
Okay.
And then with the inmates down there in the next room exercising, it smells like a gym room most of the time.
And I thought it smelled a little damp, and I didn't mention it when I was there, but then when I was looking at his diagram and thinking if we had, after we went through the emergency training and how if we actually had an event and all those people were down there, we might have a problem with the air. And I just wondered if we needed to be thinking about that a little bit.
You know, that's a good point. That's something maybe I'll, for my budget, look into and come with a, when it's budget time, have something there, because there's other things I want to do too down there and stuff. So that'll be in my budget. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. We have the old intake when we had the range down there, which maybe there's something that we could do with that to modify that to shoot some air up that way or something. So
There just definitely needs to be an airflow
Yeah.
through there.
we're probably so used to it, it don't bother me, you know. I'm used to going down there and I don't even notice it, yeah, but someone that hasn't been down there probably would notice that, so, yeah, good.
Okay.
Anything
Any
else?
other
Okay.
questions for Sheriff Sten? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's 9 o'clock, right on the button. And we're in for a discussion, an update on JDC agreement with Minnehaha County, and I've never met Ken McFarland, but I've seen him in the paper, and neither one of them look like Ken McFarland. And saw that. Stacy, can you introduce
Is it
her?
Jamie Grevitt? Am I pronouncing that right? And then Aaron Surspka?
Very close. Very
Or
good.
was I close?
Yeah.
Ken sent these folks in his place. He had to stay down in Sioux Falls and attend the commission meeting there today.
Yeah, something came up on our agenda, so. But while Jamie's handing those out, those are just PowerPoints that we've gone over. I'll walk through. My name is Erin Surska. I work for the Minnehaha County Commission Office. I am the JDAI coordinator, which is the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative. And what we were asked for today is kind of walk through what this agreement states. So I'll give you a little really brief history. About 20 years ago, Minnehaha County and some regional partners entered into an agreement to share our juvenile detention center as regional, give access to all of our partner counties to secure detention and non-secure detention shelter care through Volunteers of America. The agreement is that each county paid a portion of the debt service for the facilities, and in return, the partner counties got access to those beds at a discounted per diem rate. 20 years has gone by fast, and the last few years we've been having some fluctuation in our detention center numbers in Minnehaha County and with our shelter care usage through the use and implementation of JDAI. JDAI is going to go statewide. The risk assessment instrument that we use at our detention center is going to be used in all counties across the state starting July 1st per a Supreme Court rule from Chief Justice Gilbertson. So what we're looking at today is just as Minnehaha County works through building options, which you have them in front of you, one has not been decided, and just to extend the current agreement for 2 years while we look at options of what makes most sense for us and our partner counties. The new agreement, the letter of intent that we're asking you to sign today just extends the current per diem rate for the next 2 years because there's no debt service cost because that's all paid. But over the next 2 years, we're going to be looking at the construction options you see in front of you. And the only major change in the debt service, instead of the original one was based on the youth population in your county, but what the new debt service will be based on is your bed utilization over a 5-year period, and that's how the debt service will be distributed when that's decided.
The original agreement, you paid the same amount for debt service throughout the full 20 years. With when we lock into an agreement for any future buildings, we would utilize your bed usage for the past 5 years. So every year that would change based on your bed usage. It wouldn't be one amount that you were locked in for 20 years. So now we have the data to support how much you were using our facilities, where 20 years ago they had nothing to go by. The letter that we're asking for today is just saying that you're interested in staying a part of the group during this exploratory phase. It's not locking you into any construction. It's not locking you into any long-term agreement. It's just saying that you want to be a part of the process with us and continue to partner with us.
And as you're considering the discounted per diem, last year for calendar year 2014, Brookings used a total of 380 bed days at our facility. The discounted per diem rate is $165. For non-partner counties, the per diem is right at $250. So by being part of our partnership, you guys saved around $32,000. Any questions?
Yes, with the changes that are coming with the JDAI, do you foresee that there will be less bed usage? I mean, they're changing the whole way that these juveniles are being handled, and so it seems to me the purpose is so that they're not confined. What kind of effect do you think that's going to have on your project here?
Well, and that's what we're looking at. If you look at jurisdictions across the nation, including ours here in South Dakota, which is Minnehaha and Pennington, saw a dramatic decrease in the use of secure detention beds. We served more youth in the community, and that was based on their risk to reoffend and put the community at risk. But what we did see an uptick in use is the shelter care beds, as some kids maybe aren't high risk, but they are high needs and weren't able to go home. So we're using our shelter care beds and non-secure a bit more. And that's kind of reflected in some of the construction options, is keeping those 32 beds, relocating that onto the same grounds as our JDC facility, thinking that if our partner counties see that same trend, you may see a decrease in the use of detention beds, maybe a slight increase in the use of our shelter care beds, and possibly some community-based services as well.
As far as secure detention beds go, we're really not sure what's going to happen with Senate Bill 73 right now, but we're anticipating more probation holds. They're going to have the ability to use up to 48 hours for sanctioning, which currently they don't. They have to go through the same intake process as everyone else, and we utilize the RAY. So we're just not sure how much secure detention beds will be used as a part of the sanctioning through probation. But the main building option we're looking at is making a better non-secure option available and continuing with minor upgrades in our secure detention facility.
So then Volunteers of America, would they still be involved if you brought those non-secured beds into this?
Well, there's several options that are available. One of the options that are available is renovating the 908 building that they're currently in. There's an option of renovating, the 51st Street facility that they own now. And there's an option of purchasing the old Joe Foss School building. We haven't decided on any of the options yet. About the only two options that probably aren't going to be feasible for anyone are option 1 and option 2, which basically demolish the existing secure facility and build all new facilities for both secure and non-secure. And it's just not, I don't believe, a cost that people want to take on.
Right. I do know that through the few regional partner meetings we've held and our commission, the partner counties would like the non-secure facility on the same site. So when they do have to transport, both options are right there. I do know that our commission is also in looking at those two options, which is option number 5 and option 6 the most. As far as the operations go of a shelter care or non-secure facility, that's the next step. Once we decide we need to have a building for it to operate out of first. And then Minnehaha County, along with recommendations from our partner counties, would look at the operation costs and different ways to have a contract for that.
And what you're looking for from us now is just a letter stating that we intend on participating. You're not asking that we sign the joint powers agreement addendum at this time?
Right. It's just a letter of intent that you want to extend our current partnership for the next 2 years and be a part of the discussion on which building option we go forward with.
Okay. And so the cost basically is the per diem rate. We're not doing the capital or the
Right.
debt service, because that's done over 20 years, so we're done with that, right?
You're
Yes.
done with that. You made
Right.
your last payment, I believe, in
Last-
December.
Yeah.
Okay, and so for planning purposes down the road, depending in the next couple of years, you're going to make a decision, and then we'd be back to a debt service depending on what we're here.
Right.
That's a 20-year type of amortization type of thing again. And then, but then the per diem would change on a yearly basis based on the use that we've got over a 5-year period?
No, your bond rate, what your payment of your bond every year would be based on the usage.
Okay. So the 20-year payment won't be locked in for the debt service. It could fluctuate, but our per diem, is that going to lock in for 20 years then?
Right.
Probably not.
Probably not, it's too long.
No, there's going to be some small changes. Over the 20-year period, there were some small changes, but it was like $5 here and there. It's not going to be where we go from 165 to 250 for you, you know, per kid per day.
Okay.
There would be probably some small increments over time to try and just keep up with costs.
Yeah, and that's understandable. After 20 years, things are going to go up.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
Right, but
there's-
not, it wouldn't be a drastic change. I believe this year we raised our per diem rate by $5.
But basically, with all these options here on the right side, would be, if this cost came in there after the bill, that's probably what Brookings, we would have to do our debt service.
Right. And if you look at the very first page, it says cost allocation based on the 5-year utilization.
Yep.
That's where you have the bed utilization for the last 5 calendar years.
Right.
So, for example, what county was it? Minor had Hanson. There you go. If you can't see it on that, I don't know if but on this copy you can see Hanson had a youth there for about 2 years. So their utilization after those 2 years drop. You know, if you have one youth do, it can increase, but that will allow it to fall off. So you're not hanging on to that for 20 years.
Well, I appreciate the numbers on the right there. That does help us plan for the future on that type of stuff. And so I guess I certainly would be in favor of continuing it for the next 2 years and also being involved in this process too and stuff too. So I think it's a good partnership. I think it's worked well. I haven't heard anything that it doesn't, I guess.
Do we need a motion on that?
I would guess so.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Do we have an action item?
We don't have action listed on the agenda.
Okay.
We do it be it noted to sign a letter.
Generally, before I sign my name, you guys approve it. So,
When do you need to know by?
We don't need to know today. We
Okay.
just wanted you to consider this, and then if you need to make an action at a later meeting, that'd be fine,
Okay.
just so that we could get that letter and get rolling.
Okay.
I believe there's going to be a JDC advisory board meeting in May that I believe
Do
you're
you
going
have
to
the
be.
date for that yet?
I don't.
I don't have it on. I don't believe we have it.
I'll contact you as soon as I know.
That would be great.
Mr. Chair,
yes,
I have sat in on some of the advisory board meetings when Commissioner Falcon was our representative on that board. And I really want to commend you in the job that you've done, past and what you're looking at for the future. This is a very, very, very good program for us to all collaborate. And I doubt that you'll lose any counties. In fact, I would hope maybe you would gain some in the partnership. So, yeah, I too would definitely be in favor of continuing on and being a part of these discussions. So I thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. And on that note, she is right that we are looking at possible 2 to 4 counties adding on, so that would reduce even further the bond amount that you would pay on a yearly basis. Some of our advisory board members are actually seeking other counties because they see how good of a program it is and how much savings that they have. Like, for example, that Hanson County child that was there for almost 3 years, if they wouldn't have been a partner county, it would have been an expense that they wouldn't have been able to handle. So some of our partner counties sell this as an insurance policy to make sure that you can get a good rate for your child being held through maybe a major process.
any other questions? Well, thank you very much for coming up. We'll put it on our next agenda as an action item. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Give it. Thank you. Well, it's 9:15 and got about 15 minutes here. So, Chris?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Pretty short and sweet. We have crews out still crack filling. They're on County Road 46 right now. We have one truck hauling P-rock yet to get our P-rock pile stocked up for seal coating later on this summer. And we did start patching asphalt on the culvert patches on County Road 25 yesterday. But as with the cold, Bowes is shut down today, but they hope to reopen tomorrow. So continue on with that. So that's about it. Any other questions that I can try to answer the best I can with anything, or?
You said you're patching those spots on 25 with asphalt now?
Yes, sir. Started yesterday.
When does Bose anticipate that project this summer?
What I was last told and talked to, they want to start next Monday with overlaying 25. They want to get that done right away before they get into their bigger projects they have this summer. So that's also why we were trying to get on it as soon as we could. But with the cold yesterday, it was really tough to get a nice patch. And of course, like I said, they're shut down the days. So if they get going again tomorrow, and then we'll continue on with that and hopefully stay ahead of them, and that'll be done right away, real quick, like here, if weather works out for both of us.
That's good you're getting those done. I'd like
Yes,
to
sir.
see it sooner myself, but I understand. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes?
thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Weeks, we're holding to 9:30 because, okay.
Good morning. Just to give you an update for the finance office, I met with Stacy last week, and we're just getting involved with the budgeting process, and I think she's got a timeline for you, but we got everything out to department heads, so we will start that process. We had the city election, the counting was done in the finance office, and that went fine. Yesterday, they had the recount, and the numbers were all the same, so that was a good thing to know that our scanner's working correctly. So Kristen was involved with that yesterday. And we did receive our wind farm money, wind tower money, and it was up from last year. I handed that out this morning because we just received it yesterday. The total went up from 903,000 to 928,000. And for the new commissioners too, I included on there how that is determined. The nameplate tax is something that is 100% county held. It is divided 50% to the schools, 35% to the county, and 15% to the townships. And along with the nameplate tax, we have the gross receipts tax, and that is also divided the same way, 50, 35, and 15. So Dakota had went, last year they went off the 10% and it is in the 20% category. So they're on their 7th year. Buffalo Ridge is on their 6th year this year, so the county is getting 20% of the gross receipts tax. And then next year, Buffalo Ridge 2 will be in that 6 to 10 years. So once we get all of them on that 6 to 10 years, that is the maximum that the county will receive, is the 20%. So I think that we budgeted for this year, probably we budgeted about 8,000 less than what we are getting. So that's good news. We have a little extra in our budget. And it is divided between the county general fund and the county building fund. So any questions on that?
I just have to ask, nameplate tax, what does that?
That, it's a tax that is given on each wind farm, and that is the base tax or whatever that is every year. It's consistent every year, and I've got at the bottom there what the amounts are, and it's just a consistent tax that is given to the county, and it's distributed out. And then over and above that nameplate tax, like if none of the towers were even going, we would still get the nameplate tax. But over and above that, we have the gross receipts tax, which is how much electricity is generated.
Why is it called the nameplate?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure that's what they call it from.
It's because of the size of the towers, like a
Good.
1.5 megawatt tower. You multiply that by however many you got, and that gives you a base.
That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. He's the expert back there, so it's good he's here. And then we have our finance officer's report for March, and we do have an action item for the quarterly highway and emergency management transfers. So we do need action on that. And the rest of it is pretty normal. We have the be it noted items with the auditor's account with the treasurer, the payroll and additives totals, the highway expenditure report, and the register of deeds statement of fees collected. So any questions on this?
The action items in the regular business, Stacy, or is it?
No, it's right under the report. I'll move to approve the quarterly highway and emergency management transfers.
I'll second them.
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Larry?
A second.
Second, Miller Jensen. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Oh, Vicki, before you
Yep,
get out of the
yep.
hot seat, we've done things one way for years before Stacy came on board, and Vicki asked me a little bit about the budget process, and I wanted the involvement of the finance office as required by law, but of course Stacy is a right-hand person, and so together they're presenting it. But if you wanted to have it completely in the finance office or whatever, but I gave a go-ahead to proceed together, and
Sounds good to me.
and I just made an assumption that you would prefer that.
And that just follows the past procedure, right? That would be great.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Let's see, 9:23, 7 minutes to. Well, how about we jump up to regular business? Number 8, item A, a discussion of possible action on approving the second contracted pictometry flyover in 2016. Stacy had a lot of information there in our packet. Take a motion to approve, and a second one we'll have for discussion.
Move to approve.
Miller, motion. Krogman, second. Okay, let's proceed with discussion.
Part of my staff report said too, Doug Tonmacher was here 2 weeks ago, I think, and gave you a presentation on the pictometry, and he said he basically needs to know sooner rather than later if the county is planning to do the flyover in 2016 so he can get that on his schedule. He did send the information that it would cost $31,800 per year beginning summer of 2016 for 3 years. And then I think Joyce, we described it as, or he described it as the kitchen sink. If you want to upgrade that from a 4-inch to a 3-inch imagery and some other things, $42,800 would be the cost, and he would consider that the kitchen sink. But I think the imagery is in your packet. This is what we would get with the 31.8, and then the 3-inch imagery is what we would get with the more expensive cost. But basically right now, I don't even think we need to tell him which one we're doing. He just wants to get us scheduled that we're going to do it.
Has anyone discussed this with the city?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm wondering if the city is still interested in partnering.
That's a good question. Did they get the same presentation when he was up here, I wonder?
They did, no.
So previously, what do we have budgeted right now? What are we paying right now? 31, but don't we have partners involved in this?
Yeah.
I thought We had some, I know
We
B,
do.
BDC at one time shared some cost with it.
But they're not.
I don't think
But
they're a
not-
part of
they're
it
but then-
anymore.
But then we had other people
But
too,
the
I thought.
city is.
Do we know how much that, or,
Do you know?
No, I don't. I do know the day that Doug was here, they spent some time over in the city police department on how they could utilize this more, and also over in the sheriff's department, how they could be utilizing this more. So that was done, but the partnering all kind of left with Jason. He worked so hard to get those partners, and so I am not aware of the situation there. We probably need to get back on track with that.
is that in our budget now to continue on? I mean, from this last year, did we pay the 31?
No,
What are
no,
we
because
paying?
this would be for 2016.
Right, okay, so what are we doing right now then? Do we
This
know?
is a new 2-year contract.
New
right?
3-year
Three-year
contract.
So we're in a 3-year contract right now with them though, right?
That's what,
Yeah.
Okay, so
But they
That's
don't
what-
fly,
that's
they
my-
don't fly over every
No,
year.
no.
No, I understand that. So then what's our current contract with them right now is what my question is.
That is this information. I don't know where. I believe this is what we're in right now, the second capture. The third capture is for next year, the 31.8.
And that second capture was probably done in 2013. So we've been paying for 3 years.
And so if we don't do the new flyover, I mean, are we done or can we continue on with the stuff we have?
I don't have that answer either. We need somebody put in charge of pictometry.
And is a GIS person usually?
And
That's who
Jason
did it
did it, so
prior.
I mean,
Right.
we can get Jim more involved with this.
Okay, these are the questions that he needs to get answers for us. One, our partners.
Partners.
2, what were we currently paying? And we know what the next 3 years would entail. 3, if we did not do this flyover, what would the consequences be? Would we still have?
We would still have the data, it would just be
Outdated.
outdated data.
And the last flyover was 2010?
13.
13.
13.
Joyce, this is a valuable tool in your assessments, isn't it?
Yes.
It certainly is for us, yes.
So you really need updated.
Updated is wonderful. And, you know, this is also part of our Beacon product that we sell or make available to our subscribers on our Beacon, which they utilize it also. And that was part of the push when we went to the sheriff's office too, and the police department. So, and as you'll even see in our equalization boards, we've utilized the pictometry in some of that paperwork, so.
Do we know how much of the cost of this we would recapture through people paying on Beacon?
I think our Beacon subscribers have been about, 18,000 a year that we recoup.
And if I may add, Commissioner, if there was ever an F4 category tornado hit Brookings County, we would receive a free flyover within 36 hours of the storm hitting with this particular type of contract.
And I'm certainly happy with the quality of what they're doing. They're doing a great job. My question is, when was the last time that the county looked at who else offers this service and what it costs? Have we compared that with anything else?
We probably haven't. I'm not sure there's a lot of companies out there that offer this. So I think your world of imagery is limited.
But maybe on that list of what we're going to have Jim look at, that could be on that list, just to be sure we've got our I's dotted and our T's crossed. That's a lot of money.
Commissioner Miller was framing up the questions. It was partners, Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our staff, I guess the value of it, and exactly what we're getting now and under the current contract. And also, Leanne, Commissioner Pierce, do you wish to see if anybody else does this? Or,
And I guess Joyce had kind of given us a ballpark of what if you could let us know what they do come back with. I mean, that makes a big difference if we're spending 31, but we're getting 18 back. That certainly spreads the use out. I know in my profession we use it on a daily basis, so it is very valuable for us and well worth the dollars that we pay for our subscription. So I think there's people out there in that, but that's a good amount of money coming back. I'd be concerned if it was like $3,000 or $4,000 coming back, but 18 is over 50% of the cost.
When we originally added the pictometry to the Beacon website, we increased our subscriptions at that point from $300 a year to $400 a year for 1 to 5 users. So we did realize that we would be using and receiving benefits from pictometry in that way. So, and we haven't raised those rates, but I'm not sure that's necessary at this time, but that's something we could look at. No.
I'm taking it you would prefer to have a motion to table to the next meeting. Does anybody make that motion?
So made.
Pierce?
Sheriff wants to talk.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sheriff.
I don't want to get in the middle of your vote. Just Zerker, who we bought our new records management software, purchased this company. So it's compatible with the laptops and stuff. So we'll be able to access this information in our cars if we have an incident that we need to view a farm place or whatever. And so that's handy too with this company, is because our software company has purchased it. So
Okay.
it goes right in with our records management. So.
Thank you, Sheriff. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Yes, they were past the time for, we got a motion, second. Krogman seconded. All those in favor of the motion to table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Mayor Weeks, come on up and bring your sidekick there if you... Thank you for coming.
Okay, I'll introduce John Mueller. He's our new city man in Aurora.
Hey, John.
Andy Stewart had a stroke and he's on medical leave right now, so. Now what I come for today is something I was here.
Would you please state your name?
Oh, Fred Weeks,
Thank you.
Mayor of Aurora.
I know that, but for the, for the viewing audience, we need to have.
I think last year, I can't remember what month it was, I had the stop sign issue. I put stop signs up I wasn't supposed to, and we got all that done. Then we talked about lowering the speed limit, and we kind of put it off. But now our truck traffic is, within the next year, is going to increase a lot. When the Novita or whatever it's called out there gets going, our truck traffic is going to be even higher. It's high right now. I mean, it's amazing how many trucks come through town. What I'd like to do is have you bring the speed limit from coming in town is 55, then drop it to 45 or 35 before the 25 to make them slow down faster than 55 to 25. That's a big, you hit that from 55 to 25, they're not going to be slowed down. It's about the same thing you got on coming in town on 14. You come, you're going 65, then you go 55, 45, 35. I'd like to have something like that so when they do hit town, that 25 zone, they're going 30 anyhow.
Well, I drove it yesterday, and I tried to get down to 25 and couldn't.
Don't work.
That's not unusual.
So when I hit the 25, I was still going 35. And I certainly understand it. In most communities, especially if you're traveling, Highway 14, there's always a gradual type of thing. There's never a 65 to a 25. There's always a gradual type of thing. So I don't think the request is out of line at all. And like I said, not that I'm a terrible driver, but if you go through and you're trying to get down and you just can't without slamming on the brakes, I just don't think people are going to do it. And
They don't do it.
they don't. And so that first part of the town, they're still hitting 35, and there's there's mobile home park there. There's residences right there, and they're whipping through there at 35. So they have also the train track goes through there too, and so there's a lot of questions there. So I certainly am in favor of looking at doing something to slow that down before they even get to the 25, because it's not easy from 55 to 25, and so I just did it yesterday and couldn't do it. So.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I too drove it. And I let off a little earlier on the gas than Commissioner Krogman, I think, but that's because I knew it was coming. And I agree, it is difficult. So, I think a mile out is a little far, but I thought, if we reduce the speed a half a mile out, that should bring them down close enough so that they can be 25 when they're supposed to be
You're
25.
gonna reduce it, you want, reduce it to 35 or 45?
45 is what I was thinking.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going
Marty,
to
what
ask
do
the
you
sheriff.
think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thought too, I thought 1 3/4, because when you drive that, there's nothing.
Exactly.
There's nothing there.
No,
People aren't going to slow down, but I
Uh-uh.
think if you do the half mile, I
that's
think
what
that's
I
a little
thought. That's
better.
why, because a mile, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
we're still way in the country.
There's
out.
nothing there to the Liferman
No,
farm,
yeah,
basically, when you're going south. The other thing is that if we can, if you agree to this, we should get Abby going on it so we can write our ordinance and get it going. Poor Abby.
Okay.
Another thing on her plate, but because it'll take a period of time to get this all in place.
I was kind of looking, and I don't know if we can go half mile or not, but I guess looking on the thing up there, there's a fence line that kind of runs, and that's where you have your no hydraulic braking sign. I wonder if that wouldn't be, you got the two fields over on your right there, the fence lines meet, so I think it's a half mile line there. That might be a good spot for the 45. Is that enough room though? I don't know, I guess.
Well,
Or is that the quarter mile?
that's something Dick will have to measure out.
Okay.
I mean, Kerry
Even
probably,
if you went back a little bit, okay, you go a half mile, and then go a quarter mile beyond, south of that, and put a speed, whatever, adjuster,
It's gonna,
He'll-
it's
yeah,
gonna
he'll-
be,
like they
They'll
do,
measure
like they
that
do that
out.
on 14 too, they have a sign that tells you that
Yep, reduce speed.
reduce speed ahead.
yeah.
yep,
That may
there's an
help a little
actual
bit, too.
guideline for your footage of where your
Yeah.
sign should be. So,
Mhm.
I mean, we work with Dick, and like Abby's have to do the resolution, and we'll have to advertise and everything.
I mean, I've got some in the truck to slow down, because I had a Nebraska outfit that was always they haul feed out of Valero. I chased that one down. I won't tell Marty how fast I was going, but I did get the number off the truck and stuff, and I actually called down in Nebraska.
Hmm.
And they've been pretty good now. Now they're starting to pick up again, so I'll have to get another number off the truck. And I don't have any problem chasing one down and getting the name of the truck and calling the company, but that only works for a while, and then they start picking up again.
To be clear, it's 55. Are you accepted to the idea of a 45 at a half mile? Is the only change or addition in to this? Okay, and it's an ordinance, or right? And so we'll have to do that at the next meeting, and
I know how they work, so,
we'll get her done.
okay.
And we sure appreciate you coming over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, John.
Okay. It'll be a while before it's 10. Let's go to item B under 8. Action on abatement number 2015-004, an abatement application made by Ashley Van Zambeek for Robert Wang Estate. Parcel number 34425-01900. I said get on my 900-010-00. in the amount of $497.77. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Miller Pierce. Any question or discussion on this item?
Question, or Joyce, any comments? No, did Joyce have any comments on it?
Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item C, under 8, action to approve petition to establish the Lake Hendricks Road District. And there's some things in the packet about the process. Does anybody want to explain that one? Or, well, should we have a motion for discussion?
Move approval.
I'll second for discussion.
Pearson, Krogman? Okay. Any question, discussion, or somebody want to address this? This is my first one, so is this
Yeah.
the way they?
Vicky?
The first road district petition we brought in was with the old statute, and the statute had changed, and so the petition wasn't valid with the new law. So this is just a new petition with the new laws. There's enough signatures. Abby's been working with that along with us on this. So it's just to establish a new road district, and on the bottom tells when the election is, when all the things have to be in the paper, the guidelines. So you would be approving all of that.
We have 2 other road districts in the county. Back in, I believe in 2008, the River Ridge Road District was formed. And I think just a few years ago, then there was a Myers Second Edition Road District formed. So this would be the third one. This is establishing another taxing entity, a governmental taxing entity that they can tax residents who own property along this area to do road improvements.
Okay, any other question or discussion? Opinions?
So this had been approved previously,
Correct.
and so now we're just getting it back in compliance and
Right.
that kind of stuff.
So it's got to be approved again.
There was a petition, right?
Yes.
So we're not the heavy hand of the county. They're doing this to themselves, so.
The only change was that there were more signatures required?
Yeah,
Is that-
and even a difference in signatures, because the first law required that you had to be a registered voter up in that area. And now you do not have to even be a registered voter. You just have to own the property that is in this area.
Okay.
Thank
There
you.
was a special law enacted in 2014 that redefined an eligible voter for road districts. And so once that law went into effect, that changed the requirements for the people that were eligible to sign a petition and vote. So we needed to be in compliance with that.
Good questions. Oh, you learned something the first time. Any other questions or discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. On to D, action to approve the low bid for Mines Bar Auto Plaza Incorporated for a 2015 or newer 1-ton 4x4 DRW, which I actually don't know what that is, cab and chassis at $28,454 for a Dodge Ram 3500 heavy-duty chassis for the Brookings County Highway Department. Miller,
Second?
Krogman. Question or discussion?
Chair? Chris, is this comparable to the state bid? Is it?
And this is in the budget?
Okay. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. F. Oops, got ahead of me. E, action to resolution number 15-28, a plat of lots 1, 2, and 3 of Moss Addition in southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 109, North Range 47 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings, South Dakota.
Move to approve.
Krogman,
Second.
Miller. Question or discussion on this item?
The planning commission heard this particular item on our April 7th meeting and forwarded it to this board with the recommendation that that you approve it.
Okay.
This is an existing building site
No,
already?
this is actually a quarter section of land being sold off, and part of the easements to maintain their water rights. As you can see on the plat itself, one of the lots is strictly an irrigation pump.
Yeah.
And then you got the large lot, which is the farmland being sold off, and then lot number 1 would be like a shelter belt type thing that they understand is non-buildable.
Oh,
But they want to keep it with the farmland.
oh, yeah, this isn't the one.
Any other question or discussion on the motion?
I mean, why do you split all this up? Why do you split it up into lots? Give me an idea of
Because
the reasoning behind
the
it.
main reason is that irrigation. Water nationwide is getting to be an issue. So, and if you notice, they've also got the easement published on a map or plat. Most of the farmers are going this route now to maintain them water rights in case we ever get to a situation like California. At least here they've got proof that it's on their farm.
So if this person were willing to sell, they could sell just lot 2.
Correct.
Correct, and then they would still own lot 3 and 1, or lot 1 and 2, but they could hold on to lot 3.
Correct. They can hold on to the irrigation pump, and then
Yeah.
they still got the easement through the land.
Okay.
To get the water
Yeah, with
to
the
the
water line.
quarter
Gotcha.
section to the north.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. F, approval of a resolution number 15-29, plot of tract 1 of Loreras addition in the northeast quarter of Section 22, Township 111, North Range 49 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings, South Dakota. Motion.
So moved.
Krogman, Miller.
And once again, this was heard at the April 7th Planning and Zoning meeting and sent to this board with a recommendation of approval. This is a homestead being split off here, and the shelter belt tree line is part of the odd angle up on the top of this particular plat.
Okay. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. All right, it's 9:48. The next item is work session, which is going to be some work, I think. What do you want to do? Do you want to take a quick break and then come back at 10, or do you want to keep forging ahead or whatever?
Let's take a quick break. Let's on 10, and then we'll
Okay.
get into the work session.
Okay.
That way we don't stop.
Be
And
back
how long
at
it can
10.
take. 'Cause we can't go sooner, right? What's it? Kind of a stickler on that sooner stuff. What's it? Can we go sooner?
No, we cannot go sooner.
And our next guest is visiting.
Mr. Bretsch?
Hello.
We're ready for you.
I know you waited and waited, but we're finally ready for you. Carrie Bretsch with CDI with the update on 213th Street project.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right.
So we've got our plans about 95% complete. We have a revised opinion of cost that is, the lowest one is $962,436. There's two options that were given to us by the geotechnical firm when we had the borings done and the testing for the new surface. And so one of the options is for a geogrid and 10 inches of base and 4 inches of asphalt. The other one is with a geotextile, a woven geotextile, 12 inches of base and 4 inches of asphalt. Our opinion of cost shows that the geogrid is the least expensive. However, we thought we would leave it up to the contractors and we would just put an alternate in there and let the contractor decide which way they want to go. Structurally, it doesn't matter. So the finished road surface will be 28 feet. We'll have two 12-foot driving lanes and a 2-foot shoulder on each side. Okay, and it'll all be striped. We're planning to put the signage back up there within the contract. So we would put up speed limit signs and any of the other necessary signage that would be required by MUTCD. I've visited with all of the landowners and talked to them about fencing. We have included replacement of the fence within our project documents. I don't know if that's what the commission would like to do. We've visited about this before, and I've talked to Dick about it. And the only reason that I could think that you would want to put it back if the landowner doesn't want it would be just to protect the right-of-way so that you know where that boundary is at. We have instances all over the county where the farming practices take place clear up almost to the shoulder of the road. And so by putting the fence in there, you actually have a physical boundary for the landowner. So we've talked to BMU, and they're going to relocate the water line that goes in front of the Mettler residence. Right now, it's not deep enough. And so they're going to actually provide us with plan documents and specifications that we will insert into our plans for relocation. Now, the relocation of that water line will be part of this contract then, and then they will have to reimburse the county for those expenses. So we will have to have an agreement with Brookings Municipal Utilities for reimbursement of those expenses.
Where is that water line now?
Right now, it actually on the west side of Mettler's, it's in private property. It's in the Anderson property, and then it diagonals out to almost the center of the road, and then continues east until it gets past the Mettler residence, and then it diagonals back into the Anderson property again.
Okay.
So it ends up right in the middle of everything we're doing. We also have a hydrant over on the east side of the Mettler property that's in the way. It'll have to be relocated. And there is a hydrant on the corner of Highway 23 and 213th on the north side that will have to be relocated as well.
Have you spoke with Mettlers on that process?
I have spoken with Mettlers on several occasions.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, we have a meeting set up for next Tuesday so that we can go out there and explain to them exactly what the construction will involve in front of their property. We tried to set it up sooner, and we just can't get schedules together. But essentially, their concrete driveway extends into the public right-of-way. And so the plan is to saw cut the concrete, and then we will abut our asphalt right up to that concrete, because we're going to have to do the grading in that area, and that's going to involve some disturbance in there. There will be some clearing and grubbing in front of their property, so there are some bushes there, and there are there's a tree, at least one tree, that will have to be removed as part of the project. We did go out and stake the right-of-way line all along the north side of the road, and so they could see exactly where that right-of-way line is at. And also we did that for the benefit of the landowners, the other landowners, the Andersons, and their tenants. So we want people to be informed so that they know exactly what we're going to do.
Is there an option discussed with them to keep those bushes or shrubs? Or?
We really have no option there.
Okay.
The right-of-way is so tight right now, we're going to end up with about a 6-foot ditch. Normally, we would want a 10-foot ditch, but the most we can get is about a 6-foot ditch. The back slopes will be around 2 to 1, so for every 1 foot vertical, we're going 2 horizontal. So the ditches are going to be relatively steep. The inslopes off of the road, so coming off the shoulder of the road, the slope to the bottom of the ditch is going to be 3 to 1. So I mean, we're fitting everything. We're shoehorning this road into the right-of-way there. So I mean, it'll work, but we need every inch of right-of-way that we have.
Did you discuss with them that you're not going to be able to keep them? Do they know
Yes.
that? Okay.
That didn't go over real well, but I did discuss that with them and told them we were taking out everything to the right-of-way.
Gary, with the fence issue, if the landowner does not choose, if the landowner chooses to have the fence relocated, fine, I think we should do that. But if they choose not to have it, would we be able to put, say, right-of-way signs every 500 feet to make sure that the line is noticeable?
We can do that if you'd like.
And with doing that, would the backsloping of the backslope be, would be able to do that, to eliminate the 2 foot or not?
Well, either way, we're going to take the fence out. I mean, right now, some of the fence along that north side is within the right-of-way anyhow. Okay. And so we'll definitely take that out.
I'm just saying.
And actually, the tenant has removed the fence in that southeast quarter.
Correct, because if they could leave the fence out, the snow issue is there with having the fence there also. But it helps to have a good clean area.
Like I said, we talked about this on several occasions, and we never really made a decision. So if you would prefer to have right-of-way markers in there, we can sure do that.
Well, that's I guess up to the landowner if they want their fence relocated. I mean, that's
the landowner has indicated that they would prefer not to have the fence back in the southeast quarter.
Okay. Mr. Chair, it would be a cost savings to just put the markers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Yeah. And then another question I have is that those hydrants would be replaced at whose cost?
BMU.
That would be BMU as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they are located within the public right-of-way.
Okay.
Any other questions for Gary?
The one difficulty that we have right now is coming up with locations for storage of topsoil during construction. It appears that the only property we're going to have would be west of 475th. None of the landowners are interested in allowing us areas for storage of topsoil, which would require an easement. And so the price for topsoil may be a little higher because we'll have to haul it farther to store it.
Is Navita willing to let us store anything on their land?
Yes. I've talked to them, and we can, as a matter of fact, we are going to end up with some additional dirt that we'll have to waste, and they've indicated that we can waste it on their property. And so we're going to store some topsoil on there as well until we need it, and we'll just have to haul it where we need it when we place it.
You talk about the ditch. We had Sinai people come in on that county road that goes out of north, out of Sinai. And,
11.
11, thank you. And we found that there's safety money for rumble strips. It would be appropriate to put rumble strips. The state has money to put those on the edge.
I wouldn't recommend it. You mean on the edge of the pavement?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking, right now, I believe the indication was that the speed limit would be 45. I don't see the rumble strips as necessary, but we can put them in if you'd like.
Yeah, but just asking your opinion.
Yeah,
I
my
don't have-
opinion is you don't need them.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, thanks for the update. I guess we're pretty close to got her all buttoned up on your end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll be proceeding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie.
Okay, back to regular business. G, discussion on creating a Brookings County work plan. And we have materials from our lax work sessions. We have material from our strategic plan. But we guess at this point need to discuss the format. When do you want to do it? How you want to do it? So, open for discussion.
What's probably time sensitive more, I guess I was looking at the strategic plan, and we have each department by April 30th needs to put a list together for capital improvements. Goal number 1 there, and objective 2. And I'm wondering if that isn't the first thing we should try to get accomplished here in a timely manner for that, for budgeting purposes. And then work on the work session.
Okay. I'm trying to remember, was it, we were supposed to have, oh, there it is. Thank you. I was digging around for it.
We're going to give each department a structured time to bring forward needs and.
I think so, yeah. We want the input of our department heads of what their plans are for the next capital improvement for the next 1 to 5 years and 5 to 10 years. And there may not be anything for 5 to 10, but if there is something on the horizon, I would like to see that, but, yeah. And then, we also have, and that would tie in also with our bridge discussion, being prepared for that as soon as possible. So as soon as we find out the rules of the bridge replacement stuff, will be ready to go. So, my thought is working on that first. And then once we have that done with strategic plan, we can continue to work on some of the work session stuff too. So I don't mind if we have another work session for these two to go through that, but I think the focus on a timing aspect needs to be for our capital improvement plan and also our bridge discussion. I think that's part of our meeting too, was Dick wanted to know if we wanted to have a separate meeting to go over strategies for bridges and stuff like that too, so. And I would say yes on that, but.
Okay, we got a couple of agreements there. Are you thinking that the proposal from the departments would be in writing or in person, or we'd get them all in writing and then ask the ones that we wanted to do it in person?
Yep.
So initially in writing, and then the ones that we wanted to have them come. Would we do this at the end of a regular meeting or a special meeting?
It would probably depend on how many we have come.
And it says develop by April 30th. Are you thinking we'll require them to submit it by April 30th?
I think that on the plan it says,
It says
yeah,
by April 30th,
Correct.
we're supposed to develop it, but can't develop it without them develop it first. So we can adjust that.
so what if we had them submit theirs on the 30th? Gives them a week and a half to go there. I think they've done it in the past, so it might be just more of an update. And then maybe on our May 5th meeting, that as soon as we're done with our county commission meeting, whether 11 or 1, we'll go into a work session there with capital improvements on May 5th and maybe come up with something that time.
Okay, we're butting up against that budget process. Did you want to hold, Dick is ready to come, but did you want to hold off? When were those administrative rules supposed to be all worked out? Here, that's going to be after our budget, well, not budget approval, but our budget process, right? We're got meetings in June. We don't approve the budget till later, but how do you want to proceed with that? And Dick has indicated he's ready to come and talk about.
I think we should do that sooner rather than later. If he could come to our next meeting and talk about that, I think that would be good. Then doesn't that tie in with our objective number 3 on our strategic plan? We didn't put in a date for our annual review on the master transportation plan, but that would be part of that. I don't know if we have a date in mind where we want that done, but I think that's what really Dick's looking at.
Any other thoughts on that?
Our next meeting is May 5th, right? I think we invite Dick along for that May 5th, and we kind of work on combination of everything. We'll get the department heads information and that kind of stuff. I mean, because the majority of our capital long-range improvement are going to be, road and bridge type of stuff. That's the majority of it. Obviously, we don't want to lose sight of other departments, capital needs, our equipment needs, or that type of thing too. And I want to see that plan also. But I think a lot of this discussion, Dick can be there, that we have him there for the discussion of that, like Leanne had said about our plan and putting that in order. But also we look at everybody else's and maybe work towards the next couple of weeks and try to finalize it before June.
So Dick would come, for sure, and the other ones would present them in writing, and we'll discuss them. The only other big one that's out there, that you talk about knowing is the sheriff's department. If that'd be the biggest long-range one.
That might be in the 5 to 10 year.
Yeah. So I can't think of any other giant capital improvement projects other than that one. There might be one. So I guess Stacy would contact the department heads and ask them to please present short-term and long-term, and by April 30th. And then at our May meeting, we'll look at their written proposal, except for Dick. Dick asked Dick to come. And from that, we'll decide whether we need to have a schedule an in-person on them. Is that agreement with the commission? Other than the department head things, well, I guess they kind of fall under there. Well, the weed, but we have a transition there. Location of the weed office. We, met before on that, and it's kind of early for our new person. And I don't know, how do you want to handle that discussion in that department?
Well, I guess I was under the impression that things were changing at the highway department for the weed department. But
I was under that
apparently-
impression too,
were
but
you?
I kind of wanted to hear it from the.
Apparently,
Yeah, right.
that's not what
Yeah.
happened.
Not, instead of just hearing about it, I was just,
So, I think maybe we need to have a discussion with Dick and continue on with our original plans
yeah, okay,
for the weed department out there.
yeah. And let's see. And then we have a wage survey date that you highlighted. And that would be something we direct Stacy to do, I assume.
Would that be Laura?
That'd be Laura.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we did conduct a survey with First District, actually was conducting the survey. We completed it. They were supposed to get the results back to us, hopefully here in April. So instead of us kind of recreating the wheel, we're waiting on First District to get their cumulative results back on their wage study for us. And it's supposed to be sometime in April, but I'm not sure where they're at, but I can sure check on them. I can sure check with them.
And then I went through the last work session we ever had, and there's just two things that are just floating out there, and we can just work on them as we go, and that's the beta and the 4-H, and we're kind of working on those. So I think we just keep plugging away at those, or do you want to set a particular time to have a discussion, or just keep plugging away until it gets to the point we got so many questions we need to schedule a special meeting?
We already are moving forward on 4-H. So.
Yeah. I have, over a period of time, visited with the foundation and with Dean Dunn and his staff since the first of the year and said, we're going to be doing something. So, and if we do anything, we'll invite them to come and hear what we're going to do or give input if we get to where we're actually got a plan, just to keep them in the loop. Is that appropriate then that they would come?
You mean you're talking about changing how we handle the funding for 4-H? Is that what you're talking about?
Everything.
They don't care about location as long as we furnish a place.
Well, I think you're right there. I think whether it's county property or a nonprofit, 501c group or something that owns the property, they're pretty cool on the 501c running.
501(c).
That's beyond. That's not happening. But they would want to see something if we ended up forming a 501c for ownership of the building. That's for sure. And also the foundation would like to be kept abreast.
I think that we need to be doing something that's maybe a little more two-pronged with 4-H. The looking for the place stuff, I get that. But I'm wondering if we shouldn't be moving forward in our conversation with the city and somebody working on that regarding the resource center.
Well, I think that will be the next step if we make any kind of a decision.
Mm-hmm. So I just think we can be doing that at the same time as we're looking for a place so that we don't end up having another 6-month wait because we didn't have our ducks in a row on the city end.
That's, I have notes somewhere on that. Well, that process, you're talking about the resource center.
I am.
I wonder what our steps should be in that, if we should even proceed and form a subcommittee to visit with the city.
I think that'd be an excellent idea.
And I wrote these notes a long time ago, at the beginning of the year, knowing this was coming up. But that's my first step that I have down.
I would be willing to sit on that subcommittee since I'm on the Swiftel Advisory Board and I get asked regularly about what we're doing.
God, that's a good reason to be on that board. In my mind, I was thinking of Commissioner Miller because she's with 4-H, and I was thinking Mr. Krogman because that's his business. Now we're up to 3, which we can't have.
I think Commissioner Krogman would do a fine job.
I'm here. I'm not even missing here. You know, if there's a couple people that want to take it, I'm more than willing to let them work at it. So,
Well, I guess I'm open to the commissions. I'm not going to make anybody do anything, or I think all three, no offense, Larry, but you're down the totem pole, and so am I.
Thanks.
Feel glad.
But we have three people that, two with a vested, well, not vested, but, an inside track, and then we have one with
well,
some
I don't-
expertise.
I'm okay if Commissioner Miller and Pierce do it. I can certainly consult type of thing. If there's a question on any of the real estate stuff, that's fine too. So.
I think it would be good if it was Commissioner Miller that was working on the subcommittee, and this is what my concern is. I think part of any contractual conversations with the city regarding a sale have to include having everything tacked down for future use of Swiftel by 4-H. And you may be the most knowledgeable person about those kinds of activities that have to be included in that type of contract.
Did you hear that train coming? Okay, well, that'd be great. And I guess you could begin, Commissioner Miller and Pierce, to visit with them and begin a negotiation process and see where they're at, and then you can consult with Commissioner Krogman and his expertise of that.
That works.
Just keep us
Very
all-
good.
Keep us all informed.
Yeah, keep Larry and I informed.
Need to know basis.
That's, and then all these other things we got are all in works, drainage and blah, blah. I mean, you go down that one list.
One
yeah.
thing I was just kind of looking down there is I'm wondering if we couldn't start compacting this a little bit, because we have accomplished a few of these, like the strategic plan review. And I think we've got that, we got it passed. We could probably get rid of 3. The resource center roof is finished. Anything that's finished, I think probably we can kind of get down. And then there's a couple of them. I mean, if you go back down to 19, which is our 7th liquor license, probably needs to be moved up to the top of there, because that's something where you need to get down here fairly soon. So
Yeah.
maybe we can,
You're asking Stacy to go through this and clean it up?
yeah.
Okay.
Good, please.
Very good, and then send out what you got, and then so everybody can look at it.
And I like the stuff that stays there with the steps that we've taken. That's a good background. I like that. I'm not saying we need to clean those up, but I think if there's the numbers 1 through 20 that we've finished, we can kind of
Just take them off.
Take
We
'em
don't
off
need 'em
and-
on there.
Hey, Stacy, got your work cut out for you there. Yep, and Miller and Pierce also. So, okay. Anything else on the work plan? So right now it stands at the next commission meeting, we will see the written long-term, short-term, and have Dick come, and that'll be on following the meeting.
And are we also asking Laura, or no, we're waiting for first district on the wage stuff? Okay.
Yeah, the wage.
I'll check on the status of
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
see where we're at.
Okay, thank you. All right, number 9, Commission Department Director Report. You're going to go down there, that's just fine.
A lot of the stuff on my report is we've already discussed, but attached to my report was a letter, a petition of sorts that we received from some residents, business owners and farmers regarding the bridge south of White on County Road 25. I sent this to Dick as well, but they wanted to make you aware of that. It was addressed to you as the commission.
Can we have discussion on that now, or would you rather have it later, or no discussion? I'm just, yeah. Go ahead.
Is that an actual bridge?
Yes, it is.
yes.
How long is that?
It's 53 feet, and in February, we instructed Dick to talk with Doug Wessel from Banners to get us options on either rehabilitating or replacing the structure. That was in our February meeting. It's the road posting is down to, I believe, 60,000 for a semi. I mean, Ag First, local contractors in the area and the farmers basically can't use that road when they're loaded. That's their main concern. The only option is to go, I believe, the interstate is 6 miles, I believe. And the only other one is a county gravel 4 miles east that for 3 miles is gravel and then turns into blacktop, and that's their options. Otherwise, using township roads. I guess I'd like to see us move forward with getting some recommendations here from Banners and see what can be done.
So we instruct Dick to get some recommendations.
Chris, can you give Dick that message that sooner than later we want to have that bridge looked at?
Chris, did Doug give you some thoughts on, you talked to him, you said?
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday and called him and see if anything. Doug told me that he has not been told to do anything else with it yet. He sure can do some more investigating on it. And I asked Doug his personal opinion on it, whether it's worth fixing that bridge or if it's going to be just replaced and new. And not necessarily an official reason, because he said need to do a study on it and really activate it. But he said he had a gut feeling that it seemed to be more cost efficient just to replace the bridge with a new one because of how much it would cost to actually fix it to get it up to date. You'd almost redo the whole bridge anyways with everything. And that's, so Doug was waiting for permission or told what we want him to do next, is what he told me yesterday.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just think I picked up a consensus that we want that banner study. And we want.
I think Dick misunderstood us in February, because that's kind of what we did in February, is a consensus.
But we wanted
to move
the
forward.
engineering study with the recommendation. Is that the consensus of the commission?
Yes.
Where, I mean, is that bridge listed on our list already, and what's the score that came back previously?
That's the issue. It's not listed in our program because 2 years ago the bridge was fine. It just last fall it came up, and that's why it's at a reduced posting. It's still at I believe 60% sufficiency, but it doesn't meet the requirement to meet the
So it's not on the
list.
program.
So we're going to be discussing bridges. That's the thing
Next
that we're
meeting.
going to be doing next meeting. I think we should put this on that list and talk about that then in relationship to other bridges.
Yep.
By then, I mean, you should have the engineering report, and which would be normal course of business, but then obviously if it's, one way or the other, fix it up, or that would be put into his plan.
Right.
It might be a candidate for a box culvert or culverts also.
That's what I was
I
wondering.
mean, Doug will bring the recommendations back for what we can do. I'm not saying it has to be a bridge, but it could be a box culvert or vice versa.
When does Dick get back?
I believe he's back to work Monday.
So
It's coming
that's
Monday.
a whole nother week. Can we instruct Chris to have
Yes.
Wessel?
Yes, I'll go with that.
Okay.
I
Chris,
don't want to go around Dick, but
No, but,
with Chris.
but I think time is of the essence here. So if you would contact him and tell him that the commission would like him to do an engineering study
Yes, ma'am, I can do
as
that.
to
You can do
our
it.
options.
You can do a hydrology study too, which will tell us if we can do the box culverts instead of a bridge
Okay.
and everything too. That tells us, gives us our options that we can do.
Okay, so will you contact him today?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
I will.
you.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Okay.
Brings up another question, I guess.
Okay.
So how many other bridges do we have that are load limits, but not on our 60% study from Banner? That could come up, because
That's a good question. I mean, there's north of Bruce is also one. But that one's coming to replacement next year.
Oh, but that's on the list.
Concern happens was when they're on a major artery of a road. I mean, compared to one that's on a gravel road or vice versa. I believe we should prioritize according to our main arteries and, you know, our market to market and
I'm
emergency routes also.
Well, I'm wondering, it seems like this one, you know, kind of deteriorated quicker than most. And I'm not sure how often we have Banner come and take a look, every 2 years?
Every 2 years.
But I'm wondering, maybe we should turn around and look at some of the bridges that you're talking about in the artery areas, that maybe we should look on a yearly basis to see if deteriorating like this, because all of a sudden we went from 60% fine to a load limit that doesn't allow it to be used to its capabilities. And I'm wondering if maybe we should look at something like that, identify the main roads that are being used to make sure that those bridges are on a yearly basis. But that's just a discussion we can have.
That's something we can have with Dick,
Yeah.
yeah. But this one we want right away, okay? Anything else on that? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The budget, like Vicki said, we sent out the budget information last week out to departments and to the non-mandated entities as well. That's all due back at the end of May. In my report, I set out some dates that I would like to meet for budget discussions. So I want to make sure that those work for you if
I am gone after our commission meeting on the 16th. I am gone until the 22nd of June. And those were the days that you picked. It's a state bar meeting. I don't have any choice on my timing. Is it possible for us to meet either the week before or the week after? What?
I'm on vacation the 20th to the 27th.
The week before is really tight because Vicki and I are getting that information in at the end of May, so it would only give us a week to pull everything together and get all your books put together, so.
Well, those are only the beginning meetings. If we go ahead with them, Commissioner Pierce could catch up at a later date.
I'm a little uncomfortable with that. If we have to, we have to, but because I haven't sat through those previously, I would like to participate in those this budget session. What's our deadlines? When do we have to have things done?
The provisional budget has to be to the finance office by July 15th.
Okay, you said you're leaving.
I'm leaving after our commission meeting on the 16th of June.
Okay. Do we have to have can we have a special meeting? Do we need a special meeting? Or is it usually done at a commission meeting?
These are separate meetings from the commission meeting. We schedule them as budget hearings.
And
So
they
the
are
16th, we were looking the afternoon of the 16th, that Tuesday, and then the next day, the majority of Wednesday, the 17th. It would be a budget work session, basically, is how they would be scheduled.
What if we started Monday the 15th?
And I would be available on the afternoon of the 16th. I could do them then. It's just Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday I'll be gone.
So you're saying 9
We
to
could start Monday, the 15th, and then go into the afternoon of the 16th.
Uh-huh, that would work.
Yep.
And then that gives you guys 2 weeks to.
That still gives Vicki and I 2 weeks. Yeah, 1 week is going to be tough for us to pull all of the
Yeah.
information
Oh, that's true.
together.
Will a day and a half be long enough to get it done then?
I think so, and then, as I said, June
We'll still
30th
meet
as a
again.
review day.
Yeah.
Does that still work? That the morning of June 30th. It's a Tuesday, but I think it's an off commission day because we have kind of a 3-week break in there. So if June 30th still works as a review day, we'll start that morning and go until for as much time as needed. But does that work for you, Vicki, the 15th?
Okay.
So what time on the 15th?
9?
We could start first thing in the morning and see how far we get.
The other one was scheduled at 9. I just figured.
Let's do
Yeah,
9
we
then.
could do that, and then we'll see where we're at. For Tuesday, maybe we won't need as much time then on Tuesday afternoon if we get a lot of it done on Monday.
Okay, the 15th, 9 to 2.
And then also
16,
mark
1
June
o'clock.
30th on your calendars as well as a
9 to
review
12.
day.
I wrote it in ink, Leanne, but I can be flexible. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Excuse me, we had several we have several trees. The two big elms came down on the west side of the courthouse. We had one tree during the ice storm this winter that had to come down. It was kind of between the courthouse and the sheriff's office. There's a maple tree on the west side of the courthouse too that has to come down. It's got some disease on it. It's not looking very well. If you would give myself some direction, John and I could come up with a plan for replacement of those, if that's what the board desires.
Fine. I'm very partial to oak trees because John Ball at the university said that's South Dakota's best tree.
Okay.
You know, there is significance to trees, and I'm not an Arbor Day kind of person, but a little research into it. Maybe there's like Brookings is the tree that Henny Hansen brought back, the Plant Explorer. It's the flowering crab as the Brookings tree, for example. So there might be a significance in whether you want a great, and then plus whether you want a great big one or you want more of an ornamental one. We got apricot trees in our neighborhood I never knew existed. They're gorgeous this year. And so.
Okay.
You know.
Well, if Tom gets to talk about trees, I want to talk about trees for a minute too. There is a new elm tree that the city park department's using that is not susceptible to elm disease. And I think there is some benefit in putting those in some places in the city too, so we end up with some big shade trees eventually again.
Yeah.
So that's worth looking into.
The old mistake used to be they all planted the same trees, so you had a monoculture. So if something came, so the new trend is to mix it up a little bit. So, but I guess I'm not familiar with the position it's at and the look you're looking
Exactly. You know, there may be different areas that are too shaded for some to grow. So we'll leave it to your decision.
John and I will
Yes.
get it
Yeah.
figured out, and I will let you know what we decide to do. But we'll get creative. We won't.
You know, it depends whether we're going to have something on the lawn, like food carts and stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
And we already discussed the highway funding session. We'll do that May 5th as part of the afternoon work session on the work plan. There are 2 public hearing notices attached to my report from the city of Volga. They're proposing 2 new tax incremental districts within the city of Volga, so those notices were attached to my report for your information. Also, Scott Moore with Banner provided me some information after last week's meeting when we approved the bid for that, so I included that in your packet because he gave that information to me after the fact. A couple things that came up since I did my report last week. The safety committee for Brookings County met last week, and we also, Laura and I met with Donna Langland from the city, and it looks like July 6th will be our safety week with the city and the county. We're going to be holding the picnic out at Pioneer Park that week. I believe it'll be Tuesday the 7th will be the picnic, and then that week we'll also be doing severe weather, fire drills, probably a lockdown drill with this building. So we'll coordinate. The city and county are going to be working together on that. And I think a while back I discussed with you the issue of dialing 911 out of this building. Unbeknownst to us all along, you could just dial 911 and get dispatch. It has never been an issue. You can dial 911 and get dispatch as well. So that is no longer an issue. And so, but just know that the safety committee is back up and working, and we'll be planning for that week of July 6th to get those things in. But July 7th is the picnic out at Pioneer Park with the city. We're continuing to work on the liquor ordinance. We've made some changes. I think we're getting real close to bringing that back to you. I don't know if it'll be May 5th, hopefully, for the first reading of that ordinance, but we're continuing to work on that. Reminder that the tour this afternoon at 4 o'clock on 34th Avenue. And lastly, we hired a general maintenance worker to replace Keith upon his retirement. Aaron Shear is his name, and he will start next Tuesday, April 28th. So that is all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Are Are he and John keeping the same assignments, or are we mixing that up a little?
We're going to sit down and discuss that once he's on board. He'll be working very closely with John initially, and then I think what I would like to see is have them mix up, and both of them do all of the areas that they're responsible for, so that they are both very familiar with it. I don't think John will have a problem with that. I think he's looking to make some changes too, just to change his schedule up a little bit. So the plan, I think, is to have them kind of doing a schedule with all of the facilities, both of them handling both. So.
Great.
Okay, and then at 4 o'clock today, we have a public
4
meeting.
o'clock today.
What is the address of this?
728 34th Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Deputy State's Attorney.
So for the next meeting, I will intend to have an ordinance on the speed limit change in Aurora. We'll intend to have the ordinance on the liquor license changes, and Marty and I, mostly I who caused the delay, but have been working on a transient vendor, transient merchant ordinance that we need to establish in the county, and my goal is for the next meeting, Marty, so we will get that into effect before summer starts. Just as a reminder, I will be here for the May 5th meeting, but that week is our annual State's Attorney's Conference in Deadwood, so Clyde and I will be out the remainder of the week, but my office will be fully staffed and open regular hours. And on 34th Avenue, I continue to work with Banner. We still have some issues with the railroad and some of the permitting fees and things of that nature, so that is an ongoing issue that I will keep you apprised of.
Thank you.
Did the Everest easement get signed?
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Commissioner reports. Ryan, why don't you start us out this day? Unless you're not, oh, I know you've been.
Let's move on to the state. So we'll wait to hear on how that goes, and then we'll go from there. But otherwise, that is about it, I think. So, yep.
Commissioner Miller.
Commissioner Jensen and I met with the new director at the Outdoor Adventure Center and Nancy Swanson to discuss some new ideas they had to expand usage. On April 14th, I had a weed board meeting. We reorganized the board. The weed supervisor announced that we received a $6,100 weed grant for 2015, and that he had all the people hired and he was ready to go. We received a list of the townships that had signed up for spraying and gophers. On April 17th, I attended the Bruce Fireman's Social. A county resident complained at that time that the sign crew was putting road closed signs in the middle of the roads, so the farm equipment couldn't get around them because they were using those roads that are closed. They're grass roads, and typically they do use them. So I have now received a number to call regarding that. And last night I went to the Elkton Fireman's Social, and I received another question on the roads, and I got the name and number for that person to call, so I will let her know that she can call the DOT and talk to them about her issue. And there may be coming before us a request to do a speed limit reduction on a township road. Also, we discussed at the last meeting a road maintenance agreement with SDSU and the township. And I did speak to someone at SDSU, and they are not allowed to sign road agreements. However, I said it seems to me that there should be some way that we can all work together on this, and he assured me that he would look into that and get back to me. So that's where we are.
I had a chance to talk to Larry Tiedemann and Chequin at the same time, and I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but I said this problem may arise somewhere else in the state. The state entity, whether it be a board of regents or another type, is right next to a township who are the lowest of the totem pole for money and roads, and there's no road agreement for them. And I think, Bob, you mentioned it was 97 they put that law in, that there's no conditional use permit for state property. And so I threw that in Larry Tiedemann's lap. So, okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
April 7th, I attended Brookings Dual Rural Water meeting up in Clear Lake. Proud to say I was the only commissioner from Brookings County and Dual County. It's pretty interesting. Brookings Dual, they serve 13 towns in the surrounding area. They also serve 8 commercial dairies, which was interesting. With their pipelines to accommodate some of these dairies, they've put storage facilities on at site of these dairies just to have meet their peak usage, which charges their system with these storage tanks. And then in the off time, the tank fills back up, and it's pretty interesting. It's well attended by a lot of Dual County and Brookings County people. On April 10th, Ryan and I were at the Railroad Authority meeting. April 11th, White Fireman's Dance. The 14th, I guess we did the tax appeals. On the 15th, I had a beta meeting. We went over our state. Beta had their state annual review. All was good. They did update their drug and alcohol program. And also, I was sitting in the meeting. I'm on the board as an ex officio. And it was brought to my attention that they would offer the county to be a voting member if so desired. Stacy, I don't know if you can research. When Deanna was the representative from the county, it was approached at that time, and the county did not indicate that they wanted to be a voting member of the board. So that's something to, I guess, being we fund Beta, they thought maybe that.
Have you been to enough meetings to develop an opinion as to whether or not we should be voting or ex officio?
Mike Struck, he initially, when he was put on the board from the city, he went on as an ex officio and became a voting member. They thought that being that we're funding them, maybe we should have some say in, what's going on. I don't know whether.
I remember there was discussion on that. I can go back and look and see and bring forward what the discussion was back then on that. I do remember the board discussing it, but I can't remember the reasons right now.
I didn't know if the reasons was because of state monies or something. I just research
I'll
it
do some research on it and see, check the old minutes and see what the discussion was on it.
But the question is out there in the offer, I guess.
Sure.
So on their fundraiser, they did raise $5,400 to go towards bus and equipment replacement. Also, I attended Bruce Fireman's Feed and also the sign issues. I mean, they're receiving a lot of calls. I've talked to the engineer in charge and been directing all calls to him. There's some issues of confusion on maps. They've put some minimum maintenance signs up on roads that were post office delivery routes and also school routes. And by post office rules and bus rules, they're not supposed to drive on these roads once they're posted. So some people up by White weren't getting their mail. So they're working through that. Hopefully they can get everything coordinated by this summer. Also last night, attended the East Central Cattlemen's Association meeting. The Cattlemen's Association in the state still dealing with the water issues in Pier, and they did jump on the bill. They supported the road and bridges for transportation of cattle and stuff. One of the big things we're promoting in the state is this primetime gala held down in Sioux Falls. It basically Feeding South Dakota, which to all your food pantries, your backpack project in the schools. It's a worthwhile project, and I do have tickets if you want to buy some tickets. So, but that primetime gala is I believe it's in June down in Sioux Falls. They raised over $125,000 last year at this event to go towards Feeding South Dakota. So.
Okay, very good.
On April 7th, we had our regularly scheduled planning and zoning meeting, and you saw some of the plats and stuff that we looked at there. We'll be meeting again on Friday, April 24th. We have a few details, few things to go through yet for the comp plan, and then First Dakota will be ready to submit the first draft of the written comp plan, and then we'll start reviewing that. I'm kind of excited that we're almost through the ordinances and ready to get on to the next step for that. But eventually you all will be seeing that. On April 9th, I attended the senior officials training with Commissioner Wyseth, and as always, Mr. Hill did an outstanding job with that. There were a lot of people here in this room for that meeting. The table I was at had all SDSU people, and I learned a lot about emergency management training and how SDSU and the city and the county will be interacting if we have some major event. That was a 6-hour workshop, and there was a lot of material that was presented. As a member of the Chamber Governmental Affairs Committee for the Commission, I attended the Legislative Forum for School Board members here on April 11th, and again, that was well-attended and very well done. On April 16th, I went to the Chamber Membership Mixer at Century 21. Thank you, Ryan. That was nice. And on April 17th, I went to the Bruce County Night for county officials and did talk to a lot of people about what's going on with roads and bridges in the county. It was interesting. Our liquor subcommittee has been exchanging emails, and as Ms. Howard said, we will be having some ordinance hopefully for you at our next meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And yes, we are. And Stacy and Vicki and Abby have all spent a lot of time on this. It's like a lot of things. You think it's going to be so simple, and then you get into it. It takes off. Okay, on 4/9, I went to the management meeting, and we had Texas A&M and Chicago here representing that program. And once again, when it comes to emergency management, the more I learn, the more I find out I don't know. And it was very worthwhile. Long day. Then I attended the Railroad Authority meeting, see how these two commissioners did, because I don't even know anything about it, and they did a fine job. Yes? Okay. Well, all right. On 4/15, Ryan had 100 meetings that day, and he forgot. He was there, too, for the 911 meeting. Yeah, he had so many meetings that day, his calendar was completely booked. We had a presentation from Sioux Falls on Pulse Point. It was ADE locations, and you can have these located throughout your county. People put it on their app, so if something was happening, you hit the app, or they can be notified that, so let's say you were trained in, I always want to see CPR, and always have hunting on the mind, or a qualified person. You could see an ambulance go by, you could have been right over there taking care of this person. And they're going to visit with the hospital and Vera and Sanford about underwriting that project. And then the university brought up that they're working on a new program to reach out. So it's one thing, it used to, the old days, 911, people call in. Now it's talking about reaching out to people and telling of something going on or they need to be aware of. So technology. The big thing is the next generation, which is something the state came forward with, and we're second on the list out of 9 units because we're so wonderful that they've done such a great job. And adding a third desk to the dispatch center, which these desks are, well, expensive, and sort of the chairs. I mean, but I guess that they're used a lot. You know, they're the only sad thing is at the meeting we had up at Bryant, Dual County kind of was wondering about joining with us and dropping theirs because of the costs and efficiencies. And I said, you bet, get a hold of us. And they did. And Jeff was preparing a whole report. And they called back and said, we went with Watertown. And all that happens within a week or so. And in the last year, since I've been at meetings, they have brought up this concept. So it's thought about it for over a year plus. And then in a week, they made a decision. So unfortunately, we didn't get that. We could accommodate Dual County very well. Anything else from that meeting?
App is pretty, it also, it allows anybody that wants to get on that app that wants to be made aware, that has the ability to do the CPR and to be able to have that, and they can track you if you're in the area. So what we thought was really good about this is in the counties. So if something's happening, we get a 911 call up, say, in White, you can pull up who's the closest person, and also what are the units that, the units for heart.
ADE?
What are they called? Defibrillator?
Yeah.
What do they have an acronym? They have a 3 AEDs. There
Yeah.
you go. They also keep track of where all the AEDs are. And so say you're in a building and somebody's having a heart attack or something, and you get this alert on your app. You can bring it up and it can show you that, okay, there's an AED unit behind the desk in the next office. So you can run over there, grab that, and help, rather than while the emergency is on the way. So Sioux Falls is using it right now. They've really speak highly of it. It would be able to help enforcement, law enforcement, ambulance service, hospital, all that type of stuff and it'll allow people that have that ability to know that something right around them is going on. And so which they would maybe have a chance to have a helping hand, like Commissioner Weiss has said, an ambulance goes by and there was somebody on the other 200 feet away that was having problems and you didn't know about it, and you could have been there to try to help save that person. So something that's a pretty neat idea, and it's gaining ground. It's really, Sioux Falls was one of the first 15 members, and now there's over 300 cities that are doing it. And they can bring it up at any time and show where somebody that has signed on to that app is at right now. And there's people in Brookings that are signed up on the Sioux Falls. They brought that up and stuff too. So kind of a neat idea, and something that I think City Councilor J.L. Thorpe, I think, was the one that had heard about it and wanted to see the presentation. And so they came down from Sioux Falls and made a nice presentation. So it's pretty cool. I think something we'll see at, and I definitely think, in my opinion, was something that we could get some valuable use out of county-wide. So
Yeah, I want to stress, it's county-wide. I mean, the city obviously has the most of them, and it's just not about people when they're here working, but Elkton can register their ADEs or or White can, if they have any, it'll be on there in the citizens. So anyway, that's coming down the road. And then I went to the housing meeting for the housing redevelopment, and remember we questioned, I missed the first meeting, I'm ex officio there, and there were some questions because we had an appointment. They're 5-year terms. It was founded in 1991 by this commission, and it actually 5 people, 5-year terms, 5 counties. a lot of counties that don't participate or can't afford also. And Ryan, you, this is new to me because I don't know anything about housing programs, but the Section 8 uh, is, and it's a voucher system. So people, rather than building projects and putting all the people of low income in one building, they pick the location. If they meet the criteria, they get a voucher to pay their rent. And so it's a voucher program, which I was glad to go to. Mike mentioned there were several new things that they weren't aware of, but the management fees that are kind of run by the federal government are being twisted around in the wind a little bit, and there's some funding problems in Washington that may negatively affect this and the cost of running the program. The program, we don't have a full-time person, is run through a company called the RAM from Aberdeen. Arlo Smith is his name, and he comes down and works with that board. So hopefully, if you have any more questions about it, that's what I learned, and so yes, we formed it, and it is countywide. I think that was the question that came up the last time we. Then I went to Growth Partnership, and it's 2 frogs in and 3 frogs out kind of project, and but we do have 3 freestanding groups that are looking to build out there that would deal in research and tie in with the university, and be a great growth for Brookings. And there's several that are looking to locate in the building for a startup. There is one in there, and I can't make it Thursday. I'll be out of town. At 4 o'clock, there's a ribbon cutting for one of these companies out there, and you're more than welcome to come, and you can represent myself because I won't be there. It's Earthbend. It's an SDSU grad that started a company up in the cities, has moved it to Sioux Falls, and they have several students working out there, and it's one of those companies that does something I didn't know there was a need for, let alone how to do it. It's a trusted information technology provider in the upper Midwest. They work with large and small companies, and it's all in that stuff that Sean in the back room would understand. But it's Earthbend, and they're having the ribbon cutting. It'll be a short program because that happens to be the day that they're dedicating the foundation alumni. They're dedicating buildings all over the place up there in architecture and whatever. And so it's going to be a short meeting. So I think that's the foundation appreciation dinner that night. And then on my own, Larry and I have been at many meetings, and we have talked about 34th Avenue North. This is just a point of information. 34th Avenue North, which is, you go north off the bypass, you're heading to the landfill, it's hardtop. And then you go another mile, there's a township road. And then that goes up to a county road that, if you go west, it crosses the interstate. And if you go east, it eventually turns to gravel for a little bit, and then gets a nice way to get you back to white. Well, we've had some, well, first of all, it's gotten more and more traffic, and I don't know the history of how the decision was the county to take over South 34th. That was before I got on the commission. Were you around? No. But in that process, our township partners, when they start getting a lot of use, it puts a tremendous burden on them. And we're not talking local use, just people driving home. These are people driving home to other places. Now with the 14 bypass work being done, did look into calling it a detour route, which would give us some money. But they're not going to shut the road down. They're going to have signs up. Well, as you guys all know, if I know somebody's got a sign up there and I'm going to wait 15 minutes for the sign to turn, I'm going to make my own detour route. And I think that road is going to get excessive use for the people that are leaving. How many employees are out there? 1,700, a couple thousand. They're going to be going, some are going to be going home to Bruce and northwestern part. They're going to scoot right out that way. And I drove out there. I saw Joel Ripley lives out there. Well, all the roads are really soft because they haven't had any rain and all that kind of stuff, but it was terrible. And he made a point, it just had been bladed a couple days before. So I've talked to the city, and so has Larry. He'd been there for some of these discussions. We're not getting very far, that they run out with a blade from the landfill and blade it, and maybe the county could throw some gravel on. But before we do anything, I was wondering if Marty could take his counter and we put it out there and just count the kind of traffic to get some statistical data on how much use that road is getting. I got a feeling it's getting used plenty, but I just want to run it by the commission. How do you want to proceed? I see myself that someday either we help them or we take it over, or we can do nothing, I guess. But I got a feeling that looking at it, it's a situation that needs to be addressed. And I'm just wondering what the other commissioners thought, whether you would approve Marty going out there. I guess Dick mentioned, I talked to Dick, and he says they got a couple counters. Marty's got a counter. And I guess besides counting the number of vehicles, I was wondering, is there a way of knowing the type of vehicle? Because there's been reports of a lot of landfill trucks that are private haulers coming in that way. And they're going to really abuse the road way more than a car going down it. But I'm throwing it out to you folks.
I know there's being some more use on that road. Realize just to the east of the intersection where that road connects with County Road 46 on the north end, there's a bridge posted there now also. That was just posted and lowered. Plus you have all your implement dealers also. That's implement coming up that road. It's highly traveled. I don't know, Chris, if the counters would work. I'm just going to give you a daily count. I mean, it's not going to tell you type of vehicle.
Marty had that new type. I didn't know if that would actually count the number of wheels when a vehicle went by. Okay.
The vehicles and the speed. It gives you the times when it's the most traveled and stuff. I already put it in. So I started this weekend.
You're
And
the
it's
sheriff.
good. It's good.
It'll give us
It gives me a
data.
percentage of the cars, and it also will tell us the times of the days where is the most traffic. So there's a lot of data with that. So
Okay. Chris, you were going to say something there.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know where our counters are at. Highway Department, I haven't been shared with that, but I have seen when I've been to different concessions or whatever, they do make counters that can tell you if it's a semi-truck or a car and stuff, but I don't know if the highway departments have that accessibility or not.
say one of the other things that maybe townships need to think about is that they passed that bill last year where they can come up with their own speed limits. You know, a lot of our township roads are not 55-mile-an-hour capabilities. That road's probably not 55 with the washboard. And the problem we got is enforcement. You got to rely on hopefully voluntary compliance. But there's a lot of roads out there that are probably not suited for 55. They may need to look at reducing speed limits. They don't have to come to the commission anymore to do that.
But that bill is that in effect now?
Well, I
I
don't know
thought
if
that wasn't in effect until July.
it's very possible it don't start till July.
I think so.
Well, it's a self-limiting situation there right now between the soft spots and the washboarding. You don't need to post it to drive slower. It's like having
I guess they
speed bumps.
do. Kristen, well, one of the county employees live right at the stop sign, and she says it's bad.
The other issue, I visited with the city, and the reason, this was Larry's idea, it was good, I thought, to have their blade guy come over, is that I think, Chris, we don't have our gravel, any blading's going to be a bit of ways. I mean, it's not like we can just run a blade out there on a regular basis.
Right. Well, right now with all the gravel roads so dry, any bleeding right now goes in a couple hours or within a day or so. It looks like you hadn't been there for weeks because it's just dust. Nothing holds together right now until it actually gets some moisture in its back end.
Yeah, and you know, maybe it's a road that needs some, what is that, calcium chloride or whatever it is. would firm it up, but it's going to get a lot of traffic, and I just think to that township, whatever reasoning was to do South 34, that possibly the same reasoning should take place for this 1 mile. And
Well, let's get the data and see what happens.
okay, anybody else? All right. Well, Marty, if you could get us some information as to what's going on out there, and I encourage you all to drive out there, and it's just, we'll go from there. That's all I've done.
I have one more thing that I forgot to mention in my report. Maybe you are all aware that the unmanned aerial vehicle or the drone that the Brookings Fire Department has was built by a volunteer fireman at the Elkton Fire Department. And he told me that he is going to speak at a workshop in Rapid City on May 30th. He's been invited to come and talk about the drone that he built and the phototype for it. And I think that is really impressive that somebody in our county, especially in one of our small towns, has actually built this drone and has been recognized for it and asked to speak at a convention. So I just wanted to make that known, that Aaron Sherman
Oh, cool.
built the drone that the Brookings County Fire Department has.
Thursday, I'll be with my insurance company. We're concerned about drones. We use them to examine, but we're also concerned about insuring them and all the stuff that goes with them. That's uncharted territory, let me tell you. Okay, if there's nothing else from the commission, I'll take a motion to adjourn as Brookings County Board of County Commissioners and then immediately convene as the Board of Equalization. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Pierce? Jensen? Question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay.